Welcome to our House Captain Volunteer Lead Training. Please note that these roles are interchangeable and are ultimately the foreman of the construction crew. Also, please note that Rebuilding Together East Bay North will be referred to as RTEBN throughout this training. We are super excited that you have joined our communal mission for safe homes and communities in the East Bay for over 30 years now. With volunteers, participation, a much bigger impact is possible. RTEBN screens homeowners through an application process to ensure they are low income and or disabled. RTEBN will pay for building materials and volunteer supplies. You will receive something called a scope of work. This lists what RTEBN can budget for. Please stay within your budget. We cannot force repairs on our neighbors, and they have the right to cancel their projects or remove an item from their scope of work. If the homeowner wants you to do something that is not on their scope of work, please ask them to reapply to our organization for that work. However, if you run into something while working that you can easily and cheaply fix, and you know it will be significantly more expensive in a few months, take photos and then call RTEBN staff with the homeowner present. Homeowners must agree to all repairs. Most of your questions can be answered by the volunteer coordinator and the best person to reach out to when in doubt. This information will also be included in the paperwork emailed and mailed to you called the project packet and is in your House Captain manual. Also note in this slide, checking out RTEBN tools is similar to checking out books at the library.
Sorry for interrupting you, Donnell. I just wanted to jump in and go over what this training will cover. This training is going to primarily set you up for safety success. It's also going to teach you where and how to purchase materials and get tools. It's also going to go over what you will need from our volunteers on site. This will include things such as waivers, name tags, vests, etc. Please reach out to the volunteer coordinator after this training if you have not yet received your project packet. The project packet has something called a House Captain Manual, which is going to go into much greater detail than what we go through here today. I really encourage you to read that, as it will set you up more for success. I will be leading you through the safety manual during this training. I'll see you then, and you can take it from here, Donnell.
These projects really do bring the community together, and we know our relationships with our own neighbors may last decades. Professionalism is key. Please introduce yourselves to the homeowner over the phone or in person before work begins. Volunteers also need to be professional. Please look over your crew to ensure they are dressed appropriately, closed-toe shoes, no loose hair, clothing, jewelry. Everyone has an RTEBN name tag. Bad actors cannot be reported if the receiving party does not know their name. Using PPE appropriately. If there are any bad actors, you can find our complaint form and grievance policy in your project packet. You have the right to, at any time, ask bad actors to leave. RTEBN works with a lot of folks over the age of 65 and with medical complications. We are unable to work towards our mission if we do not minimize transmission. Please call the volunteer coordinator to get updated on our current COVID restrictions. The term fully vaccinated generally means you have had all the recommended shots for your age group. If you are not a good candidate for the vaccine, we must ask that you wait to participate with us once we are in code green. Please note that no volunteer is to utilize a home's restroom until we are in code green. You may use a facilities restroom provided they are closed to the public. Responsibilities as the house captain volunteer lead are as follows. to lead, educate, and oversee the volunteers. Coordinate specific duties. Be responsible for ensuring the job is finished to the best of your ability and knowledge. Please finish what you start. RTEBN does not have the bandwidth as an organization to finish up jobs. If you do not finish, the residents and our neighbors will have to work around the state you leave it in. Before work begins, make sure you have the time and ability to finish. If you are not confident about those two things, let staff know to make sure you only take on and start what you know with confidence that you can finish. C, responsible for ensuring the safety of our volunteers when working with specialized equipment, along with keeping a safety-first environment by supporting the safety coordinator and enforcing good housekeeping. D, responsible for reporting all injuries or near misses that happen on site to staff. This paperwork will be in your project packet. E, coordinating with RTEBN staff to ensure that there is enough PPE on site for the number of volunteers. F, reviewing the House Captain Handbook and all materials in your project packet and on the tablet on site. And G, responsible for ensuring all safety posters, safety resources, and supporting documents are on site and hung up appropriately. Staff and the safety coordinator will assist. It is now time to talk about the most important aspect of our job, safety. We will first go over RTEBN specific safety pointers. It is because of this training we're able to ensure our volunteers' safety and meet our safety requirements. Safety is such a big concern, house captains will have safety coordinator to assist during the workday. Safety coordinators cannot oversee the use of power tools or direct volunteers to use a power tool. Only skilled volunteers who have worked extensively with that power tool can operate it without a house captain oversight. Volunteers can bring their own tools, provided they are operating their tools safely. House captains can appoint their own safety coordinator. Just please let the volunteer coordinator know. Even though the safety coordinator is ultimately there to support you, you must also assist the safety coordinator by standing by them and making a vocal presence to back up their safety calls. Always show a unison support with your safety coordinator in front of volunteers. Should disagreements arise, talk privately until you are on the same page. Should you witness unsafe behavior, please calmly suggest the correct practices. If the behavior doesn't change or you feel you cannot control the volunteers, please call the workday off and let RTEBN staff know. What's the captain lead's responsibility in safety? Make sure the work site is safe by practicing good housekeeping and ensuring no volunteers are using power tools they do not know how to use. Let's slow down and make sure we all know what good housekeeping actually means. Adequate aisles and passageways shall be maintained in all work areas. All staging, platforms, ramps, stairways, walkways, aisles, and passageways shall be kept reasonably clear of all tools, materials, and equipment except that which is in use, and of all debris such as welding rod tips, bolts, nuts, and similar materials. Hose and electric conductors shall be elevated over or placed under the walkway or walking surfaces or covered by adequate crossover structures. Adhere to safety manual found in your project packet. Ensure all volunteers on site have a signed waiver. Coordinate with staff to ensure proper safety signs and enough PPE is on site for all volunteers for each tool use. Cannot leave the site without volunteers present. Report all injuries, near misses, and grievance to staff. Verbally confirm each volunteer has received and reviewed a safety tips document which was sent with the waiver, and that they have signed a waiver. Make sure each volunteer is wearing a name tag. Again, if someone does something rude, we will want witnesses to know their name to report them. It is also helpful to be able to call specific names out if they are in a dangerous situation. If visibility vests and or t-shirts are available, make sure they have them. PPE is gloves, earplugs, goggles, and especially now face masks. We must have enough of each type of PPE for the number of volunteers we are expecting on site. This is an area where it is crucial that the HC, VL, and RTEBN staff work together. Brush up on operations manual for each tool. Get safety posters for tools to be on site. RTEBN has big laminated ones for you. Place safety first posters throughout the job site. Look for any electrical conductors and highlight locations. Ensure that cords and hoses are out of the way, sawdust is swept away, and debris cleaned up, etc. Make sure each volunteer is dressed appropriately for the expected work. Volunteers should not be using power tools they are unfamiliar with. Report any injuries or near misses through our injury report form. Reserve skilled jobs for the appropriate tradespeople. Always use caution around electricity and plumbing. No drinking. Check the tools beforehand for any malfunctions. Read the safety manual and other safety documents in your project packet. Things to think about to prepare if there are any power tools. Get an idea on what power tools you'll need. What items would make the job safer. Please communicate with our RTEBN staff via phone and email to what PPE you suspect you will need and how much of each item. Assess the work site for safety hazards. Note any safety concerns, big or small. Draw or send photos of the safety concerns to staff. Report any safety issues or safety hazards that cannot be immediately resolved by yourself on site to RTEBN staff. You or your safety coordinator will go over the safety tips which will be in your project packet out loud before work begins. First aid kit, first aid booklet, emergency phone numbers must be on site and alert the safety coordinator to their location. We need waivers from all the volunteers, even you. Ask your safety coordinator to check that waivers are signed on waiver database using the tablet or confirming with our RTEBN staff. Set time to assess the job ahead of time. Depending on the type of job, you may need to come days in advance or may only need an hour or two before the volunteers arrive. Assess the site for hazards. Notate hazards with pics and drawings and send to staff. Before a large group of volunteers arrive, please prep the job site for the job you are overseeing. Make sure safety posters are up and you have laid out any given additional safety info for any power tools or potentially dangerous equipment, provided you are not the only one to use them. Look ahead. Notice the posts and warnings to any area that might pose danger, especially with electricity. Note your fall risk. Is anyone going to be higher than 6 feet off the ground in this work? No volunteers allowed to exceed 6 feet off the ground. Please call RTEBN staff. If ladders are required, you will need spotters for each time someone is on a ladder. The homeowner and safety coordinator can be asked to assist in spotting if they are able to participate. Do another safety check. Is there any major roadblocks or any relevant pathways? Is there something the homeowner, staff, or you should do before volunteers arrive? Repairing is much different than building new, and plans can change. If there is a 2+ person job that will take 24 hours to cure or dry before work can take place that we did not foresee, call RTEBN staff. That sums up some of our safety oversight specific to managing and hosting volunteers. This is where we must get into more specifics of our safety manual, which I will now open up for you so we can go over it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to present you with our safety manual. Our safety manual goes over personal protection equipment, also known as PPE, proper lifting methods to avoid back injuries, ladder safety, hazardous materials, safe lead practices, hand and electric tool safety, power accentuated tool safety, and also note there will be a first aid booklet available on your job site. Personal protection equipment is something that has been burned into our minds at this point. But in times of COVID-19 and its many mutations, all volunteers must wear a face mask on site. RTEBN has stages of restrictions depending on the circumstances put in place by our board, management, our city, our county, or the state of California. Please reach out to RTEBN about our current COVID-19 restrictions for workdays. Outside of COVID-19 related personal protection equipment, you must also wear safety glasses or goggles with a fixed side shield at all times as a minimum protection in all work areas where a hazard of flying debris may occur. Noise levels exceeding 90 decibels require ear protection. Follow this rule of thumb. If you must shout to be heard, then you need hearing protection. If you are still unsure, check with your house captain. Hearing problems develop gradually from continued exposure to high noise levels. This can result in temporary or permanent hearing loss. Refrain from wearing loose or torn clothing, jewelry, rings, or anything that can easily get caught and cause damage. Always wear shirts and long pants. Closed-toe shoe footwear should always be worn. If possible, wear work boots. If work boots are not possible, try wearing boots or shoes that have a thick sole or adequate protection for your feet. Gloves should always be worn for protection from your hands. Always wear gloves when handling equipment and material. We also prefer that you wear gloves when you're moving objects for the sake of your hands as well. We will now go over proper lifting technique. To master proper lifting technique is to ensure the longevity of your back. We recommend that you wear gloves when doing heavy lifting along with wearing supportive work shoes. You want to examine and evaluate the load. Is this load too heavy or awkward for one person? Is anything protruding from the load, such as nails, splinters, sharp edges, or rough strapping? Is my path flat and clear of obstruction? Now it's time to get ready to lift. Establish solid footing. Carry your body weight over your feet. Keep your back straight. And do not slouch. We're going to get ready to lift the object properly. We want to get a good grasp on the object. You want to pull the object close to your body. Lift with your legs, not your back. Move feet. When turning, never twist your back. Below you will find an image that illustrates proper lifting technique. Hazardous materials. There are plenty of construction materials that can cause enormous damage if misused. It is important to use products as directed and for it to be done by skilled volunteers. Most of the time, however, hazardous materials are going to be found as deteriorating household items such as the butane canister. If you notice these or any other aged or unlabeled canisters, you'll want to alert your volunteers and keep them away from it. Call RTEBN staff to get directions on how to appropriately dispose of them. Please double-check the location of the hazardous materials to ensure that they are far away from potential fire or electrical sparks. Precautions to remember. Before working with, using, or mixing materials on site, be sure you have taken the steps below to ensure no harmful materials are mixed. 1. Locate the warning label. 2. Read the label carefully. 3. Use the product as intended. This might seem obvious, but do remember, we are a 30-year-old organization. Some of the products that we own may be 10 years older or more, and a different product than you are used to working with. It is very important that you read all labels to all things that you bring on site and use the product as intended. Lead and asbestos. Notify RTEBN staff immediately if you suspect that lead or asbestos exists and will be disturbed by your tasks. Do note that we are unable to work with asbestos. We can, however, encapsulate lead, but we would need a certified RRP individual to provide additional training to you and all volunteers before work is conducted. In the case that you need an RRP individual, your main role will be supporting that RRP certified individual's safety efforts at all times, along with paying close attention to their direction. Hand tools. What is the proper care and maintenance of hand tools? 1. Maintain all hand tools and similar equipment in top-notch working condition, whether they belong to you, your house captain, or we're building together. 2. Store tools with sharp edges so they cannot cause injury or damage. 3. Do not leave tools lying around where they could cause an obstruction or hazard, such as causing a tripping hazard. 4. Keep tools and accessories clean, sharp, and correctly oiled. How to use tools appropriately. 1. Never try to increase a tool's capacity or modify the tool beyond its regular use or voltage. 2. Do not use anything that would bypass the manufacturer's safety devices. 3. Read the manuals and use as directed. For electric hand tools, we will want to 1. Keep moving parts of a power tool pointed away from your body. 2. Never leave a running power tool unattended. 3. Make sure proper safety guard and shield are in proper working order before operating any power tool. 4. Do not remove any factory-installed guards. 5. Stand on a dry surface while operating electrical tools. 6. Always keep hands dry while operating electrical tools. 7. Use the 3-prong type of extension cords for portable electrical tools and appliances. 8. Use electric power tools that are approved double insulated type or grounded type. Power actuated tools. Power actuated tools are commonly known as nail guns used in construction. They could be extremely dangerous. Please approach these tools with the same caution and respect as you would firearms. 1. You must have training to use power actuated tools. 2. Wear eye protection when using power-actuated fastening tools. 3. Always use safety devices installed on the tool. 4. Use only cartridges and fasteners supplied by the manufacturer of the tool. 5. Load power-actuated fastening tools just before you intend to fire, never in advance. 5. Load power-actuated fastening tools just before you intend to fire, never in advance. That sums up the safety manual. Thank you so much for your participation. We will now continue with our regularly scheduled programming.
We're going to talk about how you can gather materials for this job. Unless you create your own SOW, those documents will list your maximum material budget. It is important to stay within that budget. If there has been an inappropriate estimate made, and you must go over 10% of your initial estimate, please let RTEBN know to ensure we can move forward with that purchase. There are also smaller items that may not be accounted for, such as mixing sticks or liquid nails, most of which RTEBN owns and you can use. However, some necessary items under $10 may be purchased provided RTEBN does not have it. For leftover materials, please return unused materials to the store for credit. Give open materials to RTEBN staff. We have a few methods to get materials for the job site. First option, you buy it yourself. You save the receipt and you give the receipt to the program manager. A reimbursement check will be made and mailed out to you. We recommend you take a photo of the receipt as soon as you get it with your phone and send the program manager the photo via email. If you want to minimize your use of technology, keep them in an envelope and drop them off at the office. Please make sure we have your address, and please do not buy painting materials. We have too much. Second option is you use Rebuilding Together's tools. Our tools are kept on Urban Oil's property in the back. To get there, you will need to take Folger Street and go into the employee parking area. Please schedule with a staff member if it is your first time going there. Also, bring a list of what you need so we can check out those tools appropriately. Third option, ask the program manager to add your name to our RTEBN account. Then you can shop at Ashby Lumber, Truett and White, and Sherwin-Williams. You will only be able to buy items for your project. And at checkout, you will tell them it's under Rebuilding Together East Bay North, your full name, and the job site address. You will not need to hold on to the receipt. They are automatically emailed to the program manager as soon as a point of sale is complete. Order for pickup. Find the item you need online at Home Depot, Lowe's, or any other retailer that allows online orders. Send the specific product you want ordered to the program manager by sending the URL at the top of the page for the product you want to their email address. Please expect to pick up the product ordered yourself as program manager registers your name as the person for pickup. Please make sure all material costs are within your budget. Be sure to add 9% sales tax. You can bring your own tools if they are inspected to be in safe and working order, and you tell staff. Buy twice as much as suspect you will need. It's much easier to make a return trip after the fact than to coordinate extra supplies during a workday. You and the safety coordinator cannot leave the job site with volunteers on property. So first, call staff for assistance. If staff is unavailable, ask if a volunteer is willing to purchase the items and wait for reimbursement. Instruct the volunteer on how to submit their receipt with their mailing address. If that is not feasible or the price is too much, get the volunteer off the property and instruct the safety coordinator to ensure all volunteers are off the property before you leave. This would be a good time to have a volunteer eat lunch. There are administrative and safety items you will need on site. Check with staff to ensure there will be the appropriate administrative materials on site. There will be a helpful checklist in your manual. If you want to donate materials to your project, we have in-kind forms. Please send an email to the project manager. If you are creating your own scope of work, it is important to foresee the following time constraints and budget accordingly. Dumpster. If there is not enough space on the property to park a dumpster, you will need a permit to put a dumpster on the street. This can really lengthen the time required for notice for a dumpster need. If there is enough space, please give staff 2 weeks' notice of a need for a dumpster. Porta potties. Please let staff know if you need a porta potty with ideally a week ahead of time. And if you're really procrastinating, 72 hours. If you inform staff of a porta potty need 48 or 24 hours before the workday, there may not be a porta potty available. The home's restroom is not an acceptable alternative until we are code green in COVID stages. Volunteers. If you need additional volunteers, you must alert the volunteer coordinator and give them a count of how many you will need and what kind of skill sets are required of them 2 weeks before the work begins. Remember, staff will help you with ensuring there's enough PPE, ensuring the appropriate safety posters are on site, general project support, tool requirements, caution tape, and etc., as well as ensuring all waivers are signed before work begins and ensuring all materials and products are ordered and on site. What you are responsible for. Oversee tools and construction-specific safety while on site. Hand off all grievances and complaints to staff. Report all injuries or near misses to staff. Finishing what you start. RTEBN does not have the bandwidth as an organization to finish up jobs. If you do not finish, the residents and our neighbors will have to work around the state you leave it in. Before work begins, make sure you have the time and ability to finish. If you are not confident about those two things, let staff know to make sure you only take on and start what you know with confidence that you can finish.